In his 1998 album, Mick Hucknall of Simply Red said that he felt blue like a Monday morning. Tell you what to cheer your Monday mornings up, Mick. Monday Matters, right here on Gary's Stuff. Hello there, I'm Gary, welcome to my channel and welcome back if you've been here before. Yes, today is indeed Monday Matters. As usual, I'll be having a look at the quite extensive news this week of what's been happening in the model making world. I'll have a check on what I've been up to on the bench, and of course I'll be looking at next week's kit of the week. All these bits come as chapters, you can hop backwards and forwards as your heart desires. Now, if you like the show, and I hope you do, please remember, Imperial thumbs up on the button below. And if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel and hit that bell, and you'll be notified of all my future videos as they are released. And as usual, if you'd like to offer a bit more concrete support, you can do that through super thanks, through becoming a channel member, or through any of my online partner programs. So, enough of that. Let's crack on and have a look at the news from the model making world this week. The biggest news is that the conglomerate of Trumpeter, Hobby Boss and I Love Kit have announced their 2023 range, and there are some intriguing things on offer. In 1/24th scale, Trumpeter says they'll have the P51B/C and the Focke-Wulf FW190A6 this year. Now, both of these have been announced previously, but then they never materialised. In 1/32nd scale, there's a new kit of the Douglas TBD-1 Devastator, and in an Army Cooperation 1/35th scale, there's a UH-1B Huey and an ACH-47 armed Chinook. In 1/48th scale are many crowd pleasers, including a Fairy Battle and a Fairy Fulmer, ground attack aircraft such as the Sturmovik and the Sukhoi Frogfoot, as well as helicopters including the Mil-4, Mil-8 and Mil-17, and the more contemporary Chinese attack helicopter, the Z-10. In 1/72nd scale, there is a range of A6 intruders, including the EA-6B Prowler, the Viking I've mentioned previously, and a MiG-19 Farmer. And in 1/144th scale, there's the Zhan Y-20 indigenous transport aircraft and the H-6N, a development of the license-built Tupolev Tu-16, adapted to carry an air-launched ballistic missile. In vehicles, there's a whole range of apparently new kits in 1/16th scale, although several of these have been announced in previous years, and this feels a little more like a wish list than an actual release schedule for the year. Likewise in 1/35th scale, although there are some really interesting things such as the World War II Rheintochter flak missile and the modern Norwegian NASAMS based on the AIM-120 missile. It's a similar story in 1/72nd scale as well, although I do like the inclusion of an American fire appliance as well. Going feet wet now, as they say, and the new 1/200th scale Tirpitz is sure to make an impact on the modelling world, as will the Britannic and Olympic sister ships of the Titanic and the US Fletcher class destroyers. In 1/350th scale, Trumpeter are releasing the Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, the British battleships Nelson and Rodney, American carrier USS Ranger and heavy cruisers USS Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and the British Dido-class cruisers Naiad, Argonaut and Scylla. Finally, in 1/700th scale, there are a few new ships, including HMS Queen Elizabeth. They probably got some good research material when she visited the South China Sea not too long ago. Under the Hobby Boss name, there are many 1/48 scale kits already announced, including the new Hurricanes and the Liberator, and the various Corsairs here are new part releases of the 2012 base kit. However, the TBD-1 Devastator is new in this scale as well, and will be available as a float plane as well as a wheeled aircraft. The J-15 and Sukhoi 33 Flanker Delta could both be kits first suggested in 2017, which had yet to surface, and I'm not entirely certain whether the FA18C is new or a re-release of the 2007 kit with new parts. In 1/72nd scale, there is that Devastator again in wheeled and float versions, as well as what appears to be a new Grumman Avenger. The Bearcat and Skytrain appear to be reissues, possibly with new parts. Back on dry land, and the 1/16th vehicle range is expanded with the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 138 and 139 chassis with tank hunter or self-propelled artillery upperworks. The Panzer 38T tank is simply a rebox of a Panda Hobby kit of 2013. In 1/35th scale, there's a range of new armour from the Second World War, from the Cold War and from contemporary forces. Some appear to be completely new, while some, like the Jagdpanzer, are new parts reboxings from other kits that maybe Trumpeter or Hobby Boss have taken over. The increasingly popular 1/48th scale will see new additions such as the modern Swedish STRV 103 and German Leopard 2 main battle tanks, as well as a host of German and Russian armour. New kits in 1/72nd scale vehicles are mainly Russian anti-air and bombardment systems, although there are some kits of German rail artillery that could be a challenge. The 280mm Leopard has been bundled with a locomotive, as has the Karl mortar, and there is a BP-42 armoured train. And finally, from this conglomerate, I Love Kit has released some new parts variants of existing kits, such as the 2022 M4 tank in 1/16th, the 1/35th scale M48 from last year, and the M3 from 2020. Last year's Pershing launching M1013 is reissued as the Ground Launch Cruise Missile System, but entirely new are the M5 self-propelled howitzer and the Duck W with its WTCT-6 trailer. There's also a 1/200th scale kit of the USS Michael Murphy, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, and a 1/350th scale kit of the Fletcher-class destroyer USS The Sullivans. Elsewhere in the model-making world, AMP has this new kit of the Hughes OH-6 Cayuse in development. It will appear in both 1/48th and 1/32nd scale for all you lovers of all things rotary. There's also this 1/72nd scale kit of the Lenticular Re-entry Vehicle, an experimental design for an orbital vehicle for delivering nuclear warheads considered during the Cold War. There's no evidence that such a vehicle was ever built or flown, although its re-entry characteristics were likely very sound. And finally, as if Micromere hasn't been busy enough this year, they are announcing a 1/72nd scale kit of the XB-51 low-level bomber prototype, which first flew in 1949. Its radical design was sound, but lost out in competition to the British Canberra, which Martin went on to make as the B-57. On the bench this week, I have had, of course, the Western Lynx released the build video of that this week. 1/48 scale from Airfix. Such a complicated kit to put together. One or two fit issues which weren't fun. Lots of stencils on the missiles in particular. Not a massive fan of helicopters, I have to say straight up. They are very fiddly things. This is quite fiddly at times. Didn't massively enjoy it, but you know what? I quite like the result. It's a nice looking thing. That was good. I have also been making the Avro Lancaster, the Dambusters Lancaster this week. Build video of that will be out sometime later this week. It's still in production. And what else have I been doing? I appeared on Sprue Talk this week at Airfix, which was on Wednesday. I think soon enough, if you go onto the Airfix YouTube site, you should be able to catch it up, or probably through the Airfix website before too long as well. They'll have the recorded and edited video of that for you to have a look at. Lots of good chat with the Airfix boys, lots of good questions. The usual things about what they're going to do next year, which they just won't answer, obviously. I did ask them about figures for aircraft and also about the stands for aircraft if you want to do them in flight as opposed to on the wheels. And they came up with some interesting answers for those. Do try and catch it up on YouTube if you can, or indeed on the FX website. Also, I did a tasting video of the FX tea and coffee, which is actually really nice. The FX tea, very English breakfast, very nice. The coffee, medium roast. If you use filter, it's going to be a medium brew. If you use a forced thing like a stovetop coffee maker, or an espresso machine or something like that, it will give you a nice rich blend but not too acidic, which is why it's really works really well in espresso machines, for example. So that's up as well. Check that out if you're interested in their tea and coffee. So there's an aeroplane shaped hole in my production schedule, and so that brings me on to this week's kit of the week, which is going to be the Messerschmitt Me262 from Hobby Boss in 1/48 scale. I've wanted to make this kit for quite a long time. It was a gift from a very, very nice person called Harry Grant. So Harry, thanks very much for this, mate. I will be making this next. As usual, I'll have a box opening with a sort of brief history of the Me262 and a review of other kits of the aircraft available. And then I'll be putting up the build video. The box opening has been shot already. That should be around in the next few days. And the build probably towards the end of the week or next weekend. I also have had this week my first inspiration box from James Skiffins' spruebox.co.uk. That's a really interesting thing. It's a subscription deal. You pay £15 a month, and 4 times a year you get a box delivered. That box contains a kit and there's a load of diorama bits and pieces to help you build together a diorama, but then let your mind sort of run away. I'll be building that in a slightly longer term in the background, but there will be build videos popping up, and the way to do, my way of doing dioramas and stuff like that will come up as well. So look out for those in the near future. I'll do a box opening of that this week to show you what you get in the box. There are obviously other things you get for your £15 a month, of course. Apart from anything else being called Wing Commander, you get the level of Wing Commander at Spruebox on that basis. So I'll talk more about that on the box opening in the week. So we've got Damebusters Lancaster coming up this week. We've got the box opening and production of the Me262 in 1/48 this week. It's a lovely looking kit. The box opening of the inspiration box. Who knows what else might crop up. It looks like yet another busy week right here on Gary's Stuff. Now, as usual, if you enjoy any of the content you see on my channel, please give it the imperial thumbs up on the like button below. Incidentally, you'll notice at the end of Spruebox, Dale from FX says, give it, as Gary says, the imperial thumbs up. Just saying, it's a bit catchy. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel and hit that bell, and you'll be notified of all future videos that I produce as they are released. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Take care now. Goodbye.